Hello, welcome to my channel. I am Tori Lynn. Let's blossom today. So today's video is me testing out the Real Techniques powder sponge. So this sponge claims that you can use it for your setting powders, your pressed powders, your blush, your bronzer, your highlights, and I kind of have mixed feelings about this, but let's just jump into the video. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button before we start, and let's just jump right in. Alright, so I'm coming at you looking a little different than I typically do, and that's because this video is about the Real Techniques powder sponge. It says you're supposed to be able to use it wet or dry, and I have chosen to wet it because I use this sponge in my Ulta haul video, and I used it dry. Felt like I had an issue getting it to blend very well. I don't know, there was a lot going on in that video, so I decided to make a video straight to this. So I have already done my foundation and just put my concealer on, and my brow is already done, so I'm just going to go ahead and blend my foundation out real fast. I decided to wait to blend my foundation because I don't want those creases to settle before I got into all this, and you know, got into the portion where we're actually going to use it. So I'm going to use this to bake, to set my skin, to do my my blush, bronzer, and highlight. So I'm going to go ahead and blend this out using my e.l.f. Total Face makeup sponge. And then we're going to go and set it using my Coty Translucent Airspun powder. And just kind of see how that bakes. I'm sure the baking probably isn't anything exciting because I use a sponge to do my baking every day. It'll be the bronzer and the blush and just setting my whole face that'll feel a little bit funky. So, got my foundation, and like I said, I'm using my Coty Translucent Airspun powder. And I'm just going to take that sponge that's been dampened, and I'm going to just bake those under eyes. I also went ahead and baked my smile lines, the creases around my nose, and that crease on my chin, just to really set stuff down. I just like the way my makeup lasts when I set those things also. So I'm going to go ahead now, and while that's baking, I decided to do my eyes on camera just because, you know, come do a little more of a full look. Otherwise this video would be about 5 seconds long. So for my eyes, I'm just going to go with a really simple kind of pretty spring neutral look. I decided to use one of my OG faves. I've had this palette for years, and when I first got it, it was actually one of the first high-end palettes I ever bought when I started getting into high-end makeup years ago, and obviously I used a lot of some of those shades, and it was just my go-to everyday palette. I wore it every day for probably a year and a half before I ended up investing in other palettes. But I love this palette, and I haven't used it in a really long time just because I have so many other things now to choose from. But I just said, let's use this on my channel because I don't know that I ever have. But I love this palette so much. Tarte makes amazing shadows. They're so pigmented and soft. So let's just go ahead and jump into this. I'm going to start with a shade called Smarty Pants. It's a nice medium brown, and it's pretty light. It's like the perfect crease shade. So I'm just going to go ahead and buff out my creases on my lid. I'm going to take that sponge and whatever powder is left on there, I'm just going to set my lids with that. This will kind of set down all that concealer and foundation that are on my lids. And then I'm going to go in with that shade. And look how pretty that crease shade is. It's just so soft and looks really good with my skin tone. Although I do know that my foundation's a little lighter than my chest. That is because I didn't think about the fact that I had a self-tan at the end of last week. So I still have a little self-tanner kind of lingering. So my foundation is going to be a little bit lighter, but that's alright. Next, I'm going to go in with the shade right below it called Jet Setter. It's a nice medium brown. And I'm going to work that shade in the outer crease. right in the outer corner. I'm just gonna focus it out here. I'm only gonna drag it in about half to 2/3 of the way into the eye. And then drag it down the lash line just a little more. Just kind of really darken up that outer V. So soft and pretty. These shades just blend together so well. I mean, I spent most of that time just packing that pigment down, but I really don't have to blend a lot. Like, I don't even know if a lot of times if I even use a blending brush to blend it all together after I put the product on. It's just so soft and smooth and creamy, and they just go so well together. If you're looking for a good starter palette, this would be it on it. I'm assuming you can still purchase this palette. I don't actually know, but even the original, or I'm sure probably the third palette would be a really good one to purchase for a starter palette. Next, I'm going to go into the shade Activist. It's the really dark brown shade here in the middle of the palette on the far side. And I'm just going to stamp that shade right in the outer corner just to give us some really good depth. I'm just going to take a blending brush and just kind of smoke out that outer edge. Then I'm going to mix the two shades called Flower Girl and Charmer. They're the two lightest shades in the palette. And I'm going to lay that on the lid that has not been covered yet. So from the inner corner all up into the crease and then over to that darker stuff on the edge. It's just such a soft, pretty, smoky look, and it's so simple to do. I really, really like this eye look. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump back into the face. My eyes should be done baking now. So I'm going to use a brush. This is the Real Techniques 201 powder brush, and I'm just going to sweep away that excess baking. Now, I did bring my cup of brushes. I got my brushes over here on standby in case things don't go the way I planned. But now I'm going to set my face with, I'm just going to stick with my Coty Translucent Airspun powder. I know how it sets with a typical brush, so I'm just going to stick with that powder. I dip my sponge, and I don't know how heavy I need to go in. Like, I don't know. I'm afraid. I'm so nervous, you guys. So I'm just going to go and just pat that brush around my, or that sponge around my face. So right away, I feel like the sponge uses a lot more product. I mean, I tipped in the same amount of product I typically do into the lid when I use my brush, and I usually still have a lot left over in here. And as you can see, I have very little product, a little around the edges, but very little product left. So I feel like it used a lot of product. As far as what my skin looks like, it looks actually pretty soft and velvety. Like, I don't feel like it settled into my pores as much as it does a lot of times. But I feel like I have a, I don't know, just like getting in the little creases and areas that my brush usually gets in. I don't know. It's interesting. I definitely tried to drag it, and I don't feel like you can really drag. I think you have to kind of just press the powder on. But my skin does have a nice velvety look. It did get a lot of powder in my brows. As you can see, my brows are pretty chalky looking now. So I think what I'm going to do actually is take a brow gel. This is the NYX Control Freak Brow Gel. And I'm just going to run a little bit of that through there. I think that'll kind of moisten that powder and kind of make it go away. Like, I don't know, I just feel like my brows look a little more dusty and muted than they did before. but my skin overall looks good. It just uses a lot of product. So let's go ahead and bronze up. I'm going to be using my Beach Bronzer from Urban Decay in the shade Bronzed. Now, last time I did this, you can see right there that I used the flat edge the round edge to kind of stamp the product down, and then use the big buffy end to kind of buff it out. So I'm going to do the same thing, I think, today. So I don't know how much product you need with these, but I got a pretty good amount there, and I'm just going to go and stamp it on my cheekbone where I would typically contour. So that actually looks pretty, in the person it looks a little heavier than it does in camera, and on the camera it looks really pretty. So maybe I'll try to blend it out with this side. Now, I don't know if I'm supposed to just tap into the product or if I'm supposed to kind of rub at the product. I feel weird rubbing at my product with this sponge, but I kind of feel like that's what's gonna get more product for me. So, I mean, that's pretty. I don't feel like, I don't know. It's different, you guys. Like, it just feels very weird using a sponge over top of my foundation. I do feel like I have a little bit of patchiness that I don't really get when I use my brush. But let's go ahead and do the rest of the bronzer. Now, I feel like if you had a nice jawline, you could probably make a really good line. I don't have a nice jawline, obviously, but I'm still going to try to make a nice bronzer line down there. Nice contour, chiseled line. And then just buff it out, I guess. I don't know why I'm doing this. It's not like I do this on a regular, day-to-day basis, but like I'm gonna try. I'm gonna give me a little more chiseled look, obviously. I think if we had a nice jawline, this would work really well. Obviously, I don't, so. So now I feel like comes the tricky part for this would be contouring the nose. So I'm gonna take that flat edge. Actually, I'm not. I'm gonna take the pointy edge, and I'm just gonna kind of run that, oh no, okay. Run some product along the edge of my nose. It definitely needs some blending. Not as a smooth application as using my brush, but, you know. Okay, so I'm going to try to take that flat edge I was originally going to use and see if I can kind of soften that line up a little bit. So, it's something I don't really know that I recommend this for nose contour. Honestly, I want to take my contour brush and blend that out a little more. I feel like I got a lot on the bridge of my nose that I don't particularly like. But, I don't know, I guess it is what it is at this point. Let's go ahead and move into a blush. I'm going to be using the Pretty Vulgar blush in the shade Make Them Blush 18. Just a really pretty nude peachy shade. And I'm going to use the other side of the sponge here. Whew, that was probably a lot of blush. So I'm just going with a really light hand. Oh my, okay, that's a lot of blush, guys. I went in way too heavy. Whew. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take the other edge, the flat edge, and try to buff that out because I picked up too much product. Well, actually, that buffed out really pretty. Let's just again do the same thing. Like, it buffed out really soft, almost, I feel like, picked up a lot of that product. So I'm going to pull a little more down. I'm going to kind of layer it. just don't want to put too much. That looks really pretty. Okay, I'm liking that. I would have used this edge to kind of blend, except for that I picked up so much product. I mean, look how much product. I only dipped into it that one time. I did a couple swooshes like that, and I mean, look how much product I just put on my arm. Like, it has a lot of blush. So that was my bad. Obviously, at least with this blush, going with a lighter hand. Oops, okay. That's why we're doing this, though, is we're living and we're learning and we're trying these things out together, guys. So, you know, my makeup is not looking bad. So let's go ahead and jump into highlight. I'm going to be using the ColourPop's Disney Designer Collection bronze. What is this? This is the highlight, guys. Highlight in the shade Horse and Carriage. And I'm just going to find, I think I'm going to use the bottom edge side of the bronzer. And I'm going to dip in. I don't know, it hardly looks like I have any product on there now, but I'm just going to go and... Hello? Hello? Is there... Are you home? I was wondering if after all these years you'd like to become a highlight on my cheek. Okay, highlight. So far, not loving this sponge with the highlight. I feel like I'm not getting... I mean, I'm definitely getting some pigment, but like... This highlight's a pretty good highlight, and I don't feel like I'm really getting much. So, I don't know. Let's try the flat end. Maybe I should try a different highlight, one that I know has more pigment to it, because this can be a softer highlight. So let's go in with my absolute fave, the Mary Luminizer from the Balm, because I know she is a Balm highlight. She's going to be giving us some pigment. So I'm just dip in the same spot on the sponge, and there you can actually see I've got some product up on that sponge now. No, I don't know if I'm supposed to rub or if I'm supposed to stipple or pat, and that's what I don't know, I feel weird about dragging something over my foundation and stuff. Like, we're always told, don't drag your brush, you know, buff and stipple, do not drag, and so I don't want to drag this across, and I'm getting a little bit, but like honestly I feel like most of that like color you're getting is just because of my lighting. I don't really feel like I'm getting a whole lot of highlight, but let's just go ahead and do the other side real quick. I feel like I'm really digging into this too. I mean, there's some there, I think. It's hard to tell if it's just the lighting that's making my cheekbones look brighter or if I'm actually getting a little bit of pigment. So, but being real, I'm, at this point, not recommending this for highlight. It did say highlight on the package, so I don't know. Maybe well, it's not a liquid sponge, so I don't know. Okay, so I can definitely tell I put a little bit on my forehead there, but I'm just not getting the pigment that I love with my highlight. Look how little on the Cupid bow. So it just gives you a really soft, subtle highlight, even with a more intense highlight. I'm going to go ahead and layer on another little bit of highlight. I'm going to take my Rodeo Dry from Ofra. I do really love this highlight. I mean, I've used the crud out of it, obviously. So I'm going to go ahead and try to build up a little more highlight there. Oh, that turned out pretty, I think. Okay. I just wanted to add a little more pop to the cheeks there. Actually almost forgot to do my inner corner highlight. So I'm going to take the Gentle from Unique Cosmetics. I just have a single shadow here, so my little Z palette that is absolutely messy, but I'm just going to pop that on my inner corner and a little on the brow bone. So I'm pretty much done with my skin. I'm going to set it with my Morphe Continuous Setting Mist, and then I'm going to toss some lashes on. Actually, I'm going to do a little liner, some lashes, and my lip, and I will be right back. Alright, so I went ahead and finished off the look. I threw a little bit of liner and some lashes on. These are the Kiss Foam Ink Lashes in the style Gala. And then for my lips, I used the Kylie Lip Kit in the shade Kylie, and then threw a little bit of ColourPop's Ultra Glossy Lip in Atta Girl over the top of that just to finish it off. So I really do like this look. It's very pretty. I do typically, you know, like a little more highlight than that sponge gave me. But as far as my skin goes, I mean, I don't know how well it's focusing on me, but I mean, my pores actually look really good. I don't have a lot of caking or creasing. Everything does kind of have a velvety look to it, so it did make it really pretty. I do feel like, I think I said earlier, setting my face, I feel like it's absorbed a lot of powder, which maybe it's because I'm using a loose powder instead of a pressed powder. I don't really have any pressed powders that I love or have been using lately, so I didn't use a pressed powder, and maybe I'll try again with a pressed powder in a different video. But I do think this sponge made a pretty look. I mean, if you had a nice jaw, like I said, you could make a really nice, clean, contoured look. You actually probably could go back in with some powder and really clean that cheekbone contour up, but it made everything just a really smooth, pretty look. You do have to be careful, I think, with how much product you pick up on the sponge, because like we saw with my blush, it could get really heavy and really crazy really fast, but I do think that this sponge blends things out really good, so even if you put too much down, you're probably going to be okay. But alright, this is the look, this is the video. I hope you guys like this video. Please give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button down below. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think about this look and what you think about this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.